You may well remember this is where we left off building this Dragon MBT-70. In this episode, we'll carry on with the construction. Glad to have you aboard. Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2. I'm going to start off with the two headlight lights at the front of the tank. These lights are the ones that are particular to the German MBT-70. Oder wie man in Deutsch Kampfpanzer 70 sagen würde. The headlights are composed of 3 main parts as well as a clear lens. There are also parts included that represent the electrical wiring for these lights. My method was to glue part D28 to the front glacis and glue subsequent parts to that. The parts are so tiny, to try and build them by holding on to part 28 and then adding the other pieces, it would have been very awkward. So for me, my thinking is to have the part D28 securely affixed to the front hull and then attach D27 and D24 to that. I'll hold off adding the clear lens part G1 till near the end of the build. Included in the kit is an instruction memo about slicing a lower bit off of part C26 if you wish to be able to rotate the sighting system. I chose to take the suggestion and I sliced the lower piece off of the part C26 and glued it in place. In step 9, the instructions show the construction of the smoke grenade mounts and the attachment of said smoke grenades. Again, I chose to deviate from the instructions because gluing everything on at this point without a firm location would be difficult. I decided to glue the mounting structure to the turret for now, coming back later to add the smoke grenades. So parts D35 and D36 were glued to the turret sides. This was followed with C12, C11, C13, and C14. Building this frame now will allow the frame to harden up and solidify by the time I get around to gluing the smoke grenades. There are 4 D34 parts, which I assume are used as hard points for lifting the turret off for maintenance reasons. Here I am adding the remaining parts for the headlight electrical connections. Next are the handholds added to the side of the turret. I made a painful error here. I snipped off the center bracket mounts, assuming they were part of the molding process. So don't do what I did. I was able to make some replacement pieces, but just really pay attention to the way these parts look on the instruction sheet before you clean them up so you can avoid making the same mistake. Next, the grab handles are glued to the commander's hatch and the other hatches on the turret. C6 is added, but I'm not sure what it is. I'm assuming it could be maybe a sight of some sort. If you do know what it is, leave a comment down below. Also, part A31 is a mystery. Seems like an odd bit of kit. If you know what it is, let me know down in the bleep bloop. This is a searchlight housing, which will need to be in the closed position as no interior details are included. This here is the safety pylon light, which unfortunately has been cast as a solid piece of plastic. But wait, I have a cunning plan. I'll show you a really quick fix at the end of this video. At this point, I decided to install the antennae, even knowing full well that they may not survive to the completion of the project. You can see here I'm adding some lock pins to the tow hooks in the front and the back. Alright, now we've come to the point where we can glue the DS plastic tracks together. So I've got a major problem. The way that Dragon designed these things is apparently this is going to go onto here, but it doesn't really have an attachment point. Like there's nothing to put this on except this huge knob here. And so I'm going to have to scratch something up on my own. So what I've made is I've taken some copper tubing. Now that'll fit in here like that. That copper tubing will go in there like that. Okay, now that I've got that figured out, I'm going to disassemble it here and I'll show you exactly how I ended up doing this. Alright, so what I've done is I've had to take 3 different sizes of tubing, and this one fits inside there, and then this one will fit inside here. And so what I've come up with is this is the axle. I'll put that in there like that. This is an insert that I've made from the aluminum tube and a brass tube. I needed to have a sleeve because it wasn't quite fitting properly. It was too loose, just the brass by itself was too loose, so I had to make a little insert from the aluminum tubing. Now that will sit on top of here like that, and there. Now I have a viable connection. So I'm gonna attach these just using some Tamiya glue. I probably could do a better job if it's actually off the wheels, but I'm in process here. So this second set, I'm gonna just glue them off, because this, I'll be able to attach these after. These were provided in 4 pieces. Previously I glued a couple of them together, and now it's time to close the loop. There are replacement metal tracks available from Freud model, but at this time I can't really afford them. I'll just go with the kit tracks. And now I'm going to test fit them, and they seem to be working out pretty well. I don't normally use these rubber band type of tracks on my builds, but in this case I don't really have another option. One of the problems I have found with the kit is that the mounting of the road wheels and the idler wheel and the drive wheel, there are not very good mounting points for the wheels. So what I ended up doing with this idler wheel is I drilled out 2 places on the axle, and I drilled it out where it is attached to the hull, and I drilled out the place where the wheel is meant to go, and I thus created my own idler wheel tension adjustment feature. Now I can give the tracks the authentic look and sag as much as possible, because this actually moves as if it was like the real one. Now that everything is solidified with the frame of the smoke grenade mounting, I will now add the smoke grenades one at a time. Okay, with most of the build completed, it is time to prime everything out. And as usual, I'm using Mr. Surfacer 1500 Black. We will start with the tracks, followed by all the other components. Somewhere along the way, I deleted or lost the video footage of me painting the green color on top of the primer. But as it is basically the same as all the black painting that I did, there is really no need to bore you with that process all over again. I've actually used an enamel paint for the top coat. Again, because I have them in my inventory. I've been building models for a very long time, and along the way, I've used Humbrol enamels, and I still have quite a few in my collection. The color that I came up with, looking at the references, was Humbrol 117, straight out of the can, thin with Mr. Thinner. However, after living with it for a couple of days and looking at photos I took of the one that's at Munster, I felt it was too dark, so I went back in with a lightened up version of the green. Okay guys, I'm going to show you a little trick that I found. He uses this stuff to make molds. And basically what I'm going to do is, this is the safety rotating light. And I'm going to take some of this, put it in really hot water, which is going to make it soft. And then once it's soft, I'm going to pop it on top of there. And then when it's cold again, it gets hard. And once it gets hard, I can put this stuff in, which is some UV resin. And I can put that under a black light, which will make the UV resin hard within minutes. It's an amazing thing. And because this is clear, it's way more accurate for what we're looking for with that safety feature. So you can see here, I'm squeezing that onto the part I want to replicate. And I really should have done this before I glued this safety beacon on, because it would have been a heck of a lot easier. But I didn't think about it until after I'd already glued it on. And oh well, you can learn from my mistake. If you choose to do it before you glue it on. It's a lot easier. So I've tried this a few times, trying to get a really good copy. The problem with this one mold is that to get the UV resin down in there, I needed to use a toothpick to sort of like force it down into the recesses, just because of, you know, surface tension or gravity or whatever. But like it wouldn't just drip down in there because of the viscosity of the material and how small that hole is. So I used a toothpick to just push it down in there. Next up, I'm going to use this ultraviolet light that I bought on Amazon. Real cheap, does the job, and it doesn't take very long. I usually do it like for 3 cycles of this light, just to make sure, but it seems to get hard pretty quick, you know. And then, voila, I've got a copy. For some reason, this resin copy here is a bit foggy, and normally what I get is very clear parts, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe it's something to do with the toothpick, or I don't know. But in any case, yeah, you can see here I've decided to remove the beacon. And now I'm going to try and make a few more copies and pick the best one from the lot. All right, it looks like we got a keeper here. It's a bit cloudy, which is not how perfect I would like it, but you know what? In the final analysis, it's 100 times better than the solid plastic one. And once I put the orange clear Tamiya paint on this to give it the amber look, it looks great. It just goes clear with that paint on it. So anyways, I shouldn't have trimmed this back. Later on, I looked at my reference pictures I took of the one that's in Munster, and actually there's a bit of a rim on the bottom of the dome that, like right here where I'm sanding this now, I could have just stopped right here and then painted it orange and then glued it onto the stock, and that would have been more accurate. But at this point, I'm just going to live with what I've got, and I'm going to just be happy. Thank you very much. I was looking at the photographs I took of the tank in Munster and also the one that is at the Koblenz military collection, and you can see that the sheen of the paint is not a flat. It is actually quite shiny. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some clear and give it a nice shiny coat. This will also aid in the application of the decals, which some people seem to live for, fighting about using a gloss coat for decals, which is totally ridiculous because it works way better with the gloss. I don't care what anybody says. So what I'll do is I'll probably come back after I've done everything with a satin, because I don't want it to be so shiny. But this is just another layer here. In any case, I'm just wondering, maybe you guys can leave a comment down in the bleep bloop as to where I should go with this. Like, should I keep it looking like the specimen that's in the museum? You know, nice and clean with maybe a little bit of aging and rusting, but not very much? Or should I make it like a operational tank, or like you've seen in the video at the start of this series, like they just drove it through mud like crazy? And so why don't you leave your comment down below and let me know what you think I should do with this. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. I kind of like it to have a clean look to it, but then again, maybe that looks too toy-like. I don't know. Leave me a comment, my friends. Over and out. Okay, kids, now it's time for one of my favorite parts of building model kits, and that's the decals. So, looking at the reference photographs, I don't need any of the numbers, but I do need the German crosses, and I will need the unit number and also the license plate, sans any numbers. And I'll be looking at my photographs to make sure I get the placement correct. Okay, what I used for applying this decal was the Dragon instruction sheet call out for the decal placement. And unfortunately, they chose only to show one side of the turret. I looked at the photographs I have of the real item, and the decal is not in the same place on the right side of the turret as it is on the left side of the turret. It's actually in a more forward point of the turret. So yeah, I think that's a big mistake on Dragon's part for not including both sides of the turret for this cross